Hey, what is up mortals, it is JamesCfer here, and before we get into today's video, there's a few things I'd like to say. Firstly, we've hit 7,000 subscribers. Let's see if we can hit 8,000 before the end of June. So, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And secondly, there's links to my Patreon, we can support this channel, and, well, the other channels in anime royalty, which, well, that's a bit of a spoiler for what's coming up next week, and yeah. There's a link down there to the Discord as well, and it'd be awesome if you joined us. Now, if you haven't watched part 1, 2, 3, or 4 of What If Deku Was a Saiyan, I highly recommend going and doing that. So last time on What If Deku Was a Saiyan, Deku and his fellow classmates, after the attack, had to go train for the UA Sports Festival, where every UA Hero Corps student gets to show the world what they can do. They can possibly get an internship with the agencies. Now, before the actual tournament or anything to do with it really gets going, Deku learns a new technique, the Josu Jujutsu, which increases his power by quite a decent amount. However, it leaves him with this level of strain around him. Now, into the tournament itself, the first event, the 4-kilometer dash. Deku wins first place pretty much without any trouble. Todoroki comes in second place and Bakugo in third. 42 students in total qualified for the cavalry battle after completing the obstacle course, and Midnight explains to the students that they must form teams of maximum of 4 people, 1 rider and at least 1 horse. Each student is given a point value, and the team's values depends on their members who finished the preliminaries, with Deku of course having the 1 million points. Okay, quick editing note, it's 10 million points. I'm only putting this in here because I know I'm gonna get so many comments saying it's 10 million, please don't, just thank you. Okay, now back into the story. Contestants are not allowed to make each other fail on purpose. Even if a team loses their headband or falls down, they can compete until the 30-minute time limit is up. Deku's team is made up of Mei Hatsume, Ochako, and Tokiyami. Their team gets actually first place, with Tetsu's group in second, Bakugo's group in third, and Todoroki's group in fourth. Now let's get into the final act of the festival, where students face off against each other in one-on-one battles. Deku's first match is Shinso. Deku struggles against Shinso's mind control and almost steps out of the arena, but he luckily trips on his tail, which snaps him out of it as he smacks his nose on the ground. Shinso tried again with his mind control, but Deku didn't fall for it twice. He finishes him off quick by kicking him out of the arena. So now it's time for round 2, this being Deku versus Shoto Todoroki. A fierce battle begins to take place. Even with Todoroki's quirk, Deku is still overpowering him with his Josu Jujutsu. For the most part, he is just bodying Todoroki, holding back enough just to try and get Todoroki to use his fire side, but pushing him just enough that Todoroki feels completely overwhelmed. This results in Todoroki actually using his fire side, which he never wanted to use because of his father, of course. As they stand off, Deku unleashes his Chakra Blast, which he fires against Todoroki. Todoroki tries to counter it with a large amount of fire, and it's quite even until Deku actually goes into Josu Jujutsu times 2, and then the blast just pretty much blows up the arena. Deku barely manages to hold on as he's being blown back, and Todoroki is just slammed against the wall. Now who's he going to be up against? Oh, it looks like it's Bakugo. All he has to do is go through Ida, and that shouldn't be too difficult. Both Izuku and Ida walk into the arena. I hope one of us wins this. I don't really care which one of us does it, but we both fought our hardest to get here. Izuku nods to this, and Present Mike says, "Go!" Ida rushes towards Izuku with a Recipro Burst and tries to push him out of the arena. Izuku dodges, which surprises the whole crowd because of how fast Recipro Burst is. This shocks Ida a bit. How's Izuku so fast? Izuku then says, "Sorry, but I want to be the next number 1. I need to be," as he uppercuts Ida out of the arena. The next few fights would go by pretty fast. And now it's the fated battle between Bakugo and Izuku. Bakugo doesn't feel afraid. He thinks he can easily destroy Deku. After this fight, they'll need to take you to the ER, Deku, right where you belong. Izuku grins and replies, "I doubt it. If anything, you'll need to retire early because of this fight." Bakugo is confused and thinks if this is the Izuku that he has known for most of his childhood, then Present Mike cuts him off and narrates a little bit and then screams, "Go!" Bakugo charges at him with an explosion prepared to take him out. Bakugo quickly blasts himself up, and behind Izuku to try and blast him in his back with a full power blast. This hits Izuku and it blows off the back part of his uniform, but he catches himself and lands on the ground, wiping away a little bit of blood that's built up. Deku says to him, "Okay, I now know what to expect. This is over." Bakugo says in rage and confusion, "Damn you monkey, you're supposed to lose from that." Bakugo then launches himself at Deku and goes in for a punch, and Deku just moves his head out of the way. Bakugo tries again, and Deku is just matrix dodging all of his attacks. Bakugo tries to go in for an explosion, but Deku pushes his arm away, slamming him in the chest, sending him flying into the ground. Bakugo tries to get up, and he barely does. "Deku, how did you get this much power from being a powerless monkey like yourself?" he spits on the ground. Deku replies with, "Well, you see, you're not dealing with the average powerless Deku anymore. I trained, and I trained to reach this level of power to surpass you, and I go beyond my limits, again and again, because I'm going to become the #1 hero." This just sets Bakugo off. He says, "Impossible, I'm supposed to be the #1. You shouldn't even be close to me." Bakugo gets up and grins. Deku gets ready for another attack, and Bakugo just charges forward at Deku. Deku launches 3 Kyoto blasts at him. Bakugo dodges them and gets right up close to Deku. Deku tries to dodge, but Bakugo lets off a huge explosion, blasting Deku back, and just before Deku goes out of range, he plants his feet, catching himself. Bakugo uses the smoke from the attack to actually sneak up on Deku. However, Deku senses his presence through and catches the punch. Bakugo then quickly moves himself behind Deku. This just about catches Deku off guard, but Deku quickly flies up into the sky. Deku thinks to himself, he can't possibly get to me up here, and Bakugo shouts from the ground, "Stop being a scared monkey or I'll have to come up there and bring you down." Deku thinks he's bluffing, and Bakugo starts using his explosions, quickly building up speed. Deku launches a ton of tiny ki blasts to try and stop Bakugo, but Bakugo maneuvers around them pretty well, while also getting hit by a few. Bakugo gets up close for another massive explosion, and Deku actually manages to stop this explosion by elbowing Bakugo in the gut, breaking his concentration. He then quickly spins around and spin kicks Bakugo in the side, sending him flying back to the ground. Bakugo still isn't giving up as he flies back up and tries again. Deku does the same thing, but Bakugo sees through this and says, "You forgot about my left hand, you stupid monkey," and he blasts Deku on the side. Both of them slam to the ground. Bakugo, who is badly injured at this point, stands back up. "I'm not done yet." He coughs up a little bit of blood that goes to the ground, and he rushes forward to Deku to try and stop him from flying around again. He lands several punches. He then throws Deku towards the ground with an explosion, causing a big cloud of smoke and dust to cover the area. Deku thinks to himself, "If I can distract him, somehow get behind him," and then Deku suddenly thinks of an idea. Bakugo has now gone into the air, using his explosions to keep him up there, trying to think of a way to take Deku out quickly, and now he says, "It was fun while it lasted, but I'll always be #1. Take this!" He holds one hand at Deku while using the other one to keep himself in the air, and explosions just start coming off the arm everywhere. Deku powers up to Josu Jujutsu ×4. Deku quickly launches himself up into the air and then flies down and kicks Bakugo before he can react and launch him outside of the arena. Deku then sends a second kick, hitting Bakugo in the chest, breaking a few of his ribs as Bakugo now flies out of the arena, unconscious. Deku stands on the first podium with excitement and joy. He's kind of proud of himself, he did rather well. While Bakugo is in second place, being so angry that they had to chain him up. And Todoroki is in third place, with no words at all. All Might jumps down and gives Deku the first place medal, saying, "Great job, young Midoriya. You showed your strength, attitude, and you did well in this sports festival. Congratulations." All Might moves to Bakugo. "Young Bakugo, you were strong, but you're just too angry. You need to control that. Anger can be turned into a fuel, but it's explosive, and you can never know when it's going to blow up in your face. Take care of yourself." Bakugo shouts back, "Screw you!" and tries to get out of the chains. All Might sees this and quickly puts the medal around his neck, and then leaves. "Todoroki, you may be strong, but you're too cocky. You cannot just get away with using half of your quirk. You could see that in your fight, couldn't you? Your ice is an amazing defense, but your fire, it's your true offense." The next day, everyone is in class and Aizawa says, "We're choosing hero names, and Midnight will be helping you guys out with that." Ida asks, "Why not you?" And Aizawa says, "Because I don't care." But really, everyone knows the reason is because he is kinda bad at names. I mean, Eraserhead? Everybody names themselves, but when it's Bakugo's turn, everyone is speechless and Deku is a bit horrified by the name that Bakugo shouts. King Explosion! Monkey Murderer! Midnight says, that's a terrible name. Bakugo rewrites it and yells, Lord King Explosion Monkey Murderer. This just makes everyone in the class just a bit filled of shock, fear and laughter. Midnight says that, no, that's not a good name either, and Bakugo shouts back, why the hell not? And Midnight says, that name makes you sound like a villain, and it's targeting one specific person too. Bakugo replies, oh, yeah, I'll make a new name out of it for you, he says as he's about to attack Midnight, but she puts him to sleep and brings him back to his desk. Everyone is speechless because Aizawa walks back in, says, thank you Midnight, I'll take it from here. Aizawa sees Bakugo sleeping at his desk and slaps him with his cloth, waking him up. Bakugo says, which one of you bastards did this, so I can blow you up? And Aizawa turns his quirk off and wraps him up in cloth. Shut up you kid, you shouldn't be so rowdy. Now, we'll look at the offers you got from the hero agencies. He looks at everyone else. In this, Deku actually got the most offers out of everyone. And the class is pretty amazed. I mean, they knew he got first place, but Deku getting all these offers? Deku is just panicking. He has so many options. What should he do? And the bell rings. Ida, Ochako and Deku walk down to the hall. Ida asks both of them, which hero agencies did they decide to go with? Ochako says she's gonna go with Gunhead. Ida says he's gonna go with his brother. And then they both ask Deku, what agency is he going with? Deku says, I don't know many of them, and there's so many of them to choose from. Suddenly All Might runs in and says, I am here. Young Midoriya, care to have lunch with me? Deku, of course. Yeah, All Might. I mean, sure. And then he goes with All Might. I've got a call from Gran Torino, my old teacher. And Deku says, you're trained by Gran Torino? Yes, and if you want, you can train with him. Deku takes the offer because All Might's giving him the offer. The next day he heads towards Gran Torino's place where he walks in seeing an old man covered in red liquid. Deku thinks, oh no, he's dead, but Gran Torino pops back up saying, hello, I spilt my tomato juice. Gran Torino says, so you're the young boy that All Might was talking about. Interesting, hey? Well, we'll get to training you, Deku. Deku looks at him saying, we're training already? I guess I should hold back, I don't want to hurt your old body. Gran Torino says, there's no need to hold back, as he runs towards Deku disappearing. Deku is shocked at how fast he is. He senses where he is and gets ready to block, but it's too late as he's slammed into on his side. Too slow. Deku's a bit knocked over by this and as he loses some balance. Now don't hold back because I'm only using 10% of my power. Deku is shocked and saying, only 10%? How fast are you? Gran Torino says, I saw how you fight. You've got a good amount of close and long range attacks, but your speed lacks. Also your technique is fairly flawed. I could tell you weren't ready to use that yet. I specialize in speed, now come at me. Deku runs and disappears. Gran Torino as well, and as they start to move even faster, slamming around the room, just parts of the room just breaking apart. Deku doesn't give up, he keeps increasing his speed to try and match Gran Torino's until Gran Torino is just completely outpacing him. Deku's doing all he can to actually try and counter a few of these. Gran Torino says to himself, this kid has some potential, why didn't All Might give his quirk to him instead of Mirio? Gran Torino then pushes Deku away and slams him into the wall. Alright, that's it for now, time to have some lunch. Now then, now that Deku has won the UA Sports Festival, and now that training with All Might's teacher has begun, what will Deku find out along this journey? Find out next time on What If Deku Was a Saiyan, Part 6.
In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining.